Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato Samma sambuddhassa. Ye puggala atta satam pasatta tattari etani yugani honte te dakkineya sugatassa savaka Etesu dinani mahapalani idampi sanghe ratanam panitam etena sachena suvatante hotu. Venerable Chief Naikahandru, Venerable Sirs, friends and children in the Dhamma, good evening and welcome for our Saturday regular Dhamma talk. We are continuing the series on the jewel sutta, the Ratana Sutta. Today, prior to our explanation on the intended verse that I just mentioned, I thought of doing a recap on the previous stanzas that we have already explained for two reasons. One is to establish our knowledge on the meanings of those verses, and also to clarify that these stanzas, though they have individual unique meanings in each of those stanzas, at the same time there is a sequel. In these meanings that which is going through in these stanzas to the end of this sutra. So it is better to understand that sequel, this line of meanings embedded in these stanzas as we are continuing this explanation on this sutra. Now, this sutra began with the invitation to the deities, Bhummaniva on the ground, Antalikke in the space. Invite them and then radiate metta towards them. Sabbheva bhuta sumana bhavantu. That line is the most significant line in that first stanza. May all beings be happy-minded. One of the core Buddha's teaching. You want the blessing out of these extraterrestrial or these beings of invisible. The most easiest, prominent, and well-effective method is radiate metta towards them. And it is explained in several other sutras, like Metta Nisansa Sutta, Karaniya Metta Sutta. You radiate metta towards them, then automatically their metta will reflect upon you, come back to you. Sabbeva bhuta sumana bhavantu. Invite the devas and radiate metta towards them and request them to listen to this sutra which is forthcoming. Atopi sakkaccha sunantu bhasita. Then after that, a request made towards the devas to preserve, to protect, to safeguard vigilantly these people who radiate metta, as well as Divacharatto cha haranti ye baling, those who bring you the gifts day in and day out, bringing gifts and offering to you. So the people are instructed or advised to do metta, but of course they must have been practicing this offering of gifts to the devas even prior to the Buddha's teaching there, even prior to the Buddha's visit. The Buddha did not reject them, but Buddha added another practice of developing metta towards them, cultivating metta towards the deities. So the first two stanzas, nothing much of Dhamma, but has the significant in the sense of creating an atmosphere which is convenient for the human beings as well as devas through metta. Then the third stanza, straightforward declaration of the precious powers or precious nature of the Lord Buddha. Yang kinchivittam idhava hurangva. If there is a wealth here or beyond, Saṅghe suvayam ratanam panitam, even in the divine realms, if there is a treasure which is supreme, nano samang atti tathagate, none of those wealths are equal to the Buddha. So Buddha is pointed out as the supreme jewel for this world and the beyond, better than any other treasure, any other jewel that exists in the world, in the third stanza. Now the fourth stanza explains why he is that precious, why he is supreme jewel in the world and world beyond is expressed in the former stanza, is explained in the fourth stanza. Khayam viragam amatam panitam yadajjaga sakya muni samahito. Yadajjaga, young Ajjaga, he has realized. Sakya Muni, the Sakyan sage, samahito, with the serenity of his mind. And that his realization has elevated him to Khayam, to destroy all the defilements. And in that destruction of the defilements, his consciousness has become viragam, passionless, and amatam, deathless, Nipāta. That is why he is precious. That is why he is the supreme jewel in the entire world and the beyond. And in the next stanza, that is the 5th stanza, explains how he attained to that state of khayang viragang amatang. That how he reached there is explained as a jewel nature, a precious nature of the Dhamma. Yam Buddha setto parivannai sucing, samadhimanam tarikanyamahu, samadhina tena samona vijjati, idampi dhamme ratanam. Buddha setto, the Supreme Buddha, parivannai sucing, if he praises, extolled, complimented, sucing purity, that purity is acquired, received through samadhina, through concentration, through serenity, development of the serenity, development of samadhi. He received this purity and he complement this purity. The purity of what? Purity of khayam, destruction of the defilements, and through that destruction, the purity is explained as viragang and amatam. That purity is passionless and deathless. And that kind of passionless and deathless purity is extolled by the Supreme Buddha. And how did he acquire this? Samadhina. Through concentration, through serenity, through samadhi, he acquired this. Now, this is something we have to understand. Here, samadhi has nothing to do with just the meditation of samatha or samatha bhavana. Because Buddhism is instructing followers to go beyond samatha meditation to vipassana. But here, in this stanza, it says, samadhina, through samadhi, through concentration, that he achieved that purity. But here, samadhi represents the eightfold noble path, Aryo Attang Giko Maggo. We all know the last factor of this middle path is the samadhi, samma samadhi, right concentration. If we just think about it, beginning with wisdom, right view, samma ditti, right intention, right thoughts, samma sankappa, belong to the wisdom, panya. Then comes right words, samma vacha, right actions, samma kammanta, and a right livelihood, samma ajiva. This is the action side, or the sila, the virtuousness that you create. Then the last one is samma vayama, right effort, samma sati, right awareness, and samma samadhi, right concentration. This is the bhavana practice. Wisdom, morality, and meditation. So Buddhist meditation just not confined for concentration. It is a consistence of three factors: Samma Vayama, right effort; Samma Sati, right awareness; and Samma Samadhi, right concentration. So just because you say Samadhi, is Samadhi or Samma Samadhi representing the former factors? Former factors, either all the 8 factors or the factors belong to the bhavana, Samma Vayama and Samma Sati, also represented by Samadhi. So when Buddha says, Samadhimanantari kanyamaho, the Samadhi, the concentration or the serenity that gives immediate results, is the cause, is the reason behind the suching, purity, that the Supreme Buddha's praise. So the practice of Samadhi means the practice of Eightfold Noble Path, Aryo Attangiko Maggo. Now in this 5th line, 5th stanza, Buddha explains the practice, the Dhamma. Dhamma is nothing but the instructions for somebody to practice, develop his spirituality, so that one day he becomes free from everything. So the first 2 stanzas, nothing much of the Dhamma, invitation to the Devas, radiating metta towards them, asking them to listen to the Dhamma, and asking them to protect the people who radiate metta towards them and who offer gifts to them. That's all. The 3rd, 4th, 5th stanzas, 3rd stanza, Buddha is pointed out as the supreme jewel in the world. 5th stanza, why Buddha to be called this supreme jewel in the world is explained. And then the 5th stanza is explained as the path, as the technique that the Buddha practiced, and he explained to the world to achieve that supreme purity, supreme noble state, supreme jewel in the world. Now today, the 6th stanza. Today, this stanza is about his noble disciples practicing what the Buddha says to reach to that same state of purity. Remember, Buddha doesn't expect his followers to come to the stage lower than him. Buddha wants his followers to come to the same state as him, because Buddhahood is not somebody's possession or somebody who is only unique to achieve that. It is for everybody. It is for all beings. But of course, for the beings who can climb up the ladder of wisdom are the ones capable of reaching there. But it is available for everybody to the reach of the same states as all the Buddhas reached. So with that note, let's begin the explanation of this stanza. The 6th. Now, as we explained earlier, the purity, suching, is the goal that one who practices is to reach. This purity is twofold. The purity achieved with concentration, and the purity achieved through insight or wisdom. Now, when the Buddha arrives in this world, there were meditators. Meditators were already there who renounced their household lives, went to the forest, and did all sorts of investigations on their consciousness, on their spirituality, and they commonly practiced on developing the concentration. Samadhi bhavana, samatha bhavana was very much prevalent, commonly practiced by the time the unenlightened bodhisattva arise in this world. So after the renunciation, the Buddha to be, the bodhisattva went looking for masters. Masters who could teach him the liberation from suffering. That was his search. He went looking for masters one after the other. Ultimately, he reached to the top level of those masters who could teach him to reach to the state of akinchanyayatana jhana, to the levels of immaterial development called emptiness, and also neva sanya na sanyayatana jhana, to the immaterial absorption called neither perception nor non-perception. It means the mind becomes so subtle to the degree that mind is there as if it is not there. To such a level, concentration can be developed. But this ever inquisitive, this ever unsatisfied bodhisattva found, though the mind becomes that subtle, underneath the mind, there are these defilements hiding beneath, waiting for the time to come onto the surface, waiting until the suppression that is done with concentration is over, so that those defilements can come up onto the surface level of the mind and make the turbulence. So what Bodhisattva found was concentration never cures the problem. The problem is suffering. Suffering, the sickness, is never cured by concentration. That's what he found. So he found none of those meditators are capable of teaching him to get rid of those hidden, lying within, sleeping, dormant defilements. To get rid of them, nobody is capable of teaching him. That's how he found no masters to teach him to end the suffering. That's why he went into the torturous method of Attakilamattana yoga, self-tormentation, after he found concentration is not helpful to get rid of those defiled state of mind hiding within. But he found that self-torturing or this self-tormentation also not helpful. Then only he understood there is another method. There must be another method to get rid of these defilements, which is hiding within, hiding behind the veil, waiting to come up and bring someone to the suffering, to the life again and again. So the suppression is not a cure. Concentration is nothing but, in the Buddha's eyes, a suppression. Useful to get the surface level of the mind to become calm and serene. For example, if a lake or a pond, if the surface level of the pond is disturbed, ripples of waves are happening, you cannot see what is underneath or what is happening in the bottom of the pond, because surface level is hindering your view of the bottom. So if you want to see what is going on in the bottom level of the lake, pond, the first thing to happen is quiet down, calm down the surface level of the mind. To calm down the surface level of the lake or the pond, what do you have to do? Let it be still. Let all the disturbances are gone. Suppress them, stop them, so that the surface level of the lake, pond will be quiet down. In the same manner, you suppress the defilements, suppress the hindrances, and calm down, quiet down the surface level of the mind. When the surface level of the mind is calmed down, your vision is clear. Your view is clear. You can see, you can witness what is going on underneath in the deeper levels of your consciousness. You may give names like subconsciousness, unconsciousness, whatever they are. These deeper levels of the consciousness are obvious for you when the surface level, superficial level of the mind is calm and quiet. So the meditation of serenity or concentration, samadhi bhavana, samatha bhavana, is a useful thing. That is why it is there in the eightfold noble path, Dhamma samadhi. It is useful for Samma sati, right awareness, right mindfulness to occur. Because Buddha found with the samadhi, you quiet down, calm down the mind, and with the awareness, with the vipassana, with the mindfulness, you remove, get rid of those defilements. When you are getting rid of those defilements, that purity, that pure nature arises in you, is not temporary, is not evanescent, it is eternal, everlasting, permanent. Why? Because it is a removal of the defilements. In concentration, it is a suppression of the defilements. Those suppressed defilements, always waiting for a loophole to come up to the surface level of the mind and disturb you totally. or destroy you. They are compared to a snake put in a box and you suppress it. You cover that box, keep it under your suppression. As long as you are suppressing it, you are safe. But once you let loose that suppression, you are in danger. Because that snake, when it comes up, it has only one aim, one goal, to destroy you. So also the mind, so also this world. Suppression is never the answer. So also our problems, suppression of the problems, never the answer. Mind also functions in that same manner. So the suppression of the defilements, never the answer. Getting rid of them, getting free from them is the answer. That's why the real purity is to be achieved via vipassana, via awareness or mindfulness. So the switching in the pure, the pure that the Buddha praised, which we explained in the former stanza, is the purity achieved via mindfulness, via sati, via awareness. Now, the practice, the Dhamma taught by the Buddha, is confined to the Eightfold Noble Path in the former stanza. Now, in this stanza, it is explaining the people who gain results by practicing these Eightfold Path, Eightfold Factors. Yeah. Now, as somebody is continuously practicing on these Eightfold Path factors, or simply we say middle path, he is transforming his life based on this middle path. Middle path and his life becoming and getting into oneness. It is not separated anymore. They are becoming one. When it is getting stronger and stronger in one's life, the middle path, what happens is he is getting rid of certain defilements called fetters, bondages. These fetters are in Pali called Saṅgha. He is getting rid of a false personification. We can say a false self-view. In Pali it is called Sakkaya Ditti, Satkaya Ditti. False self-view. And he is getting rid of doubts. Prenatal, past, post-mortem future, past and future together, about the enlightened masters, about their teachings, about the middle path, about the cause and effect. He's getting rid of these doubts. And also he's getting rid of the useless rites and rituals. The belief that these rituals can grant me the liberation. That belief is going away from him because he is practicing this middle path. And when he is getting rid of these Sakkaya Ditti, Vicikicca, Tilabbata Paramasa, false self-view, doubt, and the attachment to rites and rituals, when he is getting rid of, as he got rid of them, he come to a state called Sota Apanna. Sota is the stream. What is this stream? Stream of middle path. Apanna entered. That's how he entered the middle path. Earlier he was practicing the middle path. Now he has entered to it. It means the middle path is him. He is the middle path. Oneness is achieved. Sota Apanna. This is the first stage of sainthood. Now this first state of sainthood is twofold. The ones who are on the path and the ones who have attained the fruition. Magga Phala. Then comes the second stage. Then after that elimination of the previous defilements, he continues practicing on the middle path. The path is one, only the middle path. He is practicing on the middle path, going deeper and deeper, and he's getting stronger and stronger in this middle path. And he is reducing the energy of the most strongest defilement in our lives. Why we are stuck in these realms of sensual pleasures? Because of this singular strong attachment called kama tanha, to please the senses, to please the five senses. That's why we are stuck in the realms of sensual pleasures, lifetime to lifetime. All what we were doing is pleasing the five senses. In the pursuit of pleasing the five senses, we are. It is our goal. It is based on what we are born. It is based on what we are living. And we are going to die unfulfilled, unsatisfied, with the expectations of receiving them in the future lives. Unsatisfied, we die. Hopeful, we die to gain satisfaction in the future. Jumping from one body to another, roaming around the realms of sensual pleasures. We are stuck, strongly fettered to the realms of sensual pleasures. This is the most strongest bondage. Kama tanha, kama raga, attachment, desire for sense pleasures. So in the second stage, he cannot get rid of it totally. Now, when there is kama raga, there is a eternal byproduct of it, which is called anger, patigha. Anger and desire goes together. Where there is desire, anger is. If there is no desire, no anger. So these two goes together, two sides of the same coin. In the second stage, as he is developing the Eightfold Noble Path, as he is walking on the middle path, he comes to the stage that he reduces, he diminishes the powers of desires for sense pleasures and anger. He reduces it. And he come to a middle point of development called Saking Agami or Sakadagami. Because he has reduced the powers of the sensual desires and anger, but yet the attachment for sense pleasures are still there in the residue form. So he has to come back again, sucking once more, agami, coming back, once returner. And if he is not satisfied with that, if he continue to practice, continue to flow on the path of the middle, if he is continuously practicing on the middle path with so much of strength, with so much of vigilance, then he will be able to get rid of all those kama raga and patigha, sense desires for sense pleasures and anger, totally, absolutely. When he got rid of them, he is no more in the bind, in the attachment to the realms of sense pleasures. He is gone beyond. He is gone beyond. If he is to die at that level, when he got rid of these bondages, he is to be born in the Brahma realms, beyond the realms of sensual pleasures. He is the one called anagami, non-returner. Na-agami, anagami, the non-returner. Non-returner to where? Non-returner to the realms of kamaloka, sensual pleasures. He is to appear spontaneously in one of the Suddhavasas, Aviha, Atappa, Sudassa, Sudassi, Akanita, and to get enlightened there without ever coming back to here. But if somebody to continue his practice on the middle path, even after attaining to this stage of anagami, then he can get rid of subtler, more refined levels of defilements. The attachment for fine material realms, rupa raga. Usually these meditators develop this attachment. Then arupa raga, attachment for non-material or immaterial states. Then of course there are other defilements like mana, conceit, uddacca, restlessness, and avijja, ignorance. So with the destruction of these 5 fetters or bondages, one attains to the final stage called arahanta. Now there are 4 stages on this supramundane path. Sotapanna, stream enterer. Sakadagami, once returner. Anagami, non-returner. And Arahant, the Enlightened One. But these 4 becomes twofold. How? Those who are practicing on the path. What path? The middle path. It is the only path. and those who destroy the defilements in the practice of middle path, and those who attain to the fruition of these stages, path and fruition, magga, phala. When it is multiplied, there are 8 persons, 8 individuals in this supramundane path. Now in this stanza, the 6th stanza is discussing about these 8 individuals. Yeah. Ye puggala atta satang pasatta. Ye atta puggala, the 8 individuals, satang pasatta, praised by the virtuous ones. Satang, virtuous ones. Of course, these virtuous ones are the supreme Buddhas. Buddhas the perfect, Samma Sambuddha. So the 8 persons praised by the Samma Sambuddhas. Ye puggala atta satam pasatta. Chattari etani yugani honti. Etani chattari yugani honti. Here there are chattari yugani, 4 pairs. There are 4 pairs here. What are the pairs? Maggapala, Sotapanna Maggapala, Sakadagami Maggapala, Anagami Maggapala, Arahanta Maggapala. So, in the former stanza, on the 5th stanza, Buddha explains who practice on this Eightfold Noble Path or Middle Path, and the realization or the achievement of their developments on the path as these 8 persons, which consists of 4 pairs. Ye puggala atta satam pasatta chattari etani yugani honti. Now these 8 persons or 4 individuals are the noble Saṅgha, noble commune, Arya Saṅgha of the Buddha. The Arya Saṅgha. This Arya Saṅgha is not just limited for the monastics who officially ordained, robed in the monasteries, but also the devas in the divine realms. There are devas who attain to Sotapanna and Sakadagami. Brahmas, there are. And also lay people, householders, as well as monastics. And also there are yakas, demons, like Alavaka. He attained to Sotapanna stage. All these individuals, whoever they are, who attain to the stages of sainthood in any of these stages, winner, once returner, non-returner, or arahant, whatever stage they attained, they all belong to this Arya Saṅgha. Arya Saṅgha are the individuals who followed the teachings of the Buddha and attained to these stages of sainthood. And Buddha says, Te dakhineya sugatasya savaka, ete sudinnani mahapalani. These 8 individuals, 4 pairs of persons, dakhineya, worthy of offerings, worthy of offering food. Dakhina is usually food. Yeah. Why we have to confine this for food? Because when we are explaining the stanza that we usually bow down, we usually worship, usually chant this stanza to worship these eightfold persons, eightfold noble individuals. It is worthwhile to understand that stanza, because this stanza explains these 8 individuals when we are chanting it. If we chant with the understanding, it creates such a devotion within us. That devotion is very helpful. Now, this stanza begins with Supatipanno. The commune or the listeners or the ones who hear the Buddha, Pāvaka Saṅgho, the commune who listen to Buddha, Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Saṅgho. The commune who listen to the Buddha, Bhagavato Sāvaka Saṅgho. Supatipanno has entered the good way. What is the good way? Middle path, eightfold noble path. Ujjupatipanno has entered the straight way. What is the straight way? Eightfold noble path. Nyayapatipanno has entered the true way. The true way? Eightfold noble path. Samichipatipanno has entered the proper way. Now, eightfold noble path is explained with these beautiful words as Supatipanna, Ujjupatipanna, Nyayapatipanna, Samichipatipanna. The good path, straight path, true path, and proper path. And whoever has entered onto this path, Yadidhang chattari purisa yogani atta purisa puggala. The 4 pairs of individuals and 8 persons, we know them already. Then it says what? Ahuneyo, pahuneyo, dakkineyo, anjali karaniyo. Those beings who have entered onto that good, straight, true, proper path are ahuneyo, worthy of gifts, pahuneyo, worthy of veneration, dakkineyo, worthy of offering. Here, food. When it is said ahuneyo, gifts. So dakkineyo is worthy of food, worthy of offering food. Dakkineyo, anjali karaniyo, worthy of reverential salutation. Why they are worthy? Because they have entered onto the path called the path of purification. Path which will lead one for the purification. The middle path. That's why they are worthy of offering, worthy of reverential salutations, worthy of gifts, worthy of hospitality. Pahuneyo is hospitality. Ahuneyo, worthy of gifts. Pahuneyo, worthy of hospitality. Dakkineyo, worthy of offering food, dakkina. And anjali karaniyo, worthy of reverential salutation. Anuttarang punya kettan lokas. They are the incomparable field of merit for the world. Now, in this stanza, this is explained as why you should offer food to these 8 noble individuals. Te dakkineya sugatasya savaka. They are dakkineya, worthy of offering food. Sugatasya savaka. We have to understand that Sugata, he is translated welfarer, who walked well. Walked on what? Walked on the middle path. So Buddha himself walked on the middle path. That's why he is Sugato, welfarer. Sugatasya savaka, they are the disciples of welfare. Why they are worthy of offering food? Te dakkineya sugatasya savaka etesu dinnani mahapalani. Whatever given to them yield the best of the results. The ones who offer something to these noble individuals gain the best of the result. As it is explained, Anuttarang punyaketang lokas, to the world, this is the incomparable field of merit. Field of merit. The field is there. You plant a seed of merit. If you plant a seed of merit based on these noble Saṅgha, then whatever results will come will be abundant, infinite, incomparable, fearless. The greatest merit that you can receive is planting the seed in the field of noble Saṅgha. Etesu dinnani mahapalani. If you offer something to this eightfold noble Saṅgha, who are in the paths and the fruition, in the practice of the supramundane path, you receive the greatest merit. Idampi Saṅghe Ratanam Panita. This is a virtue which is Ratanam Panita, like a gem, immeasurably valuable, supremely valuable. Etena Sachena Swati Hotu. By the virtue of this truth, may there be peace. That's enough for today. Let's share these merits. May all the Devas, departed one, rejoice with us. Akasattha cha bummattha devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkhantu lokasasanam. Akasattha cha bummattha devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkhantu lokasasanam. Akasattha cha bummattha devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkhantu lokasasanam. Dhamme ñātinang hotu sukita hontu ñātayo. Dhamme ñātinang hotu sukita hontu ñātayo. Idang me ñātinang hotu sukita hontu ñātayo. Blessings for you. Dukkha roga bhaya vera soka sabbe upaddava anekantaraya pi vinassantu cha tejasa. Jaya siddhi dhanang labang sotti bhagyang sukam balang tiriyayu cha vanno cha bhogam buddhi cha yasava tatavassa cha ayu cha jiva siddhi bhavantu te ayurarogya sampatti Saṅgha sampatti mevacha ato nibbana sampatti vinate samijjatu. Sadhu.